Welcome to Before, During, After, a Smirk Experience podcast about performance from the inside. Every week, I'll sit down with a professional comedian to unpack how they prepare for a gig, what they're thinking about while they're on stage, and how they reflect once it's over. Because great performances don't just happen, they're built. Today's guest is Adam Greene, a brilliant comic who's played every room imaginable. Adam and me discuss the benefit of structured preparation that works however much time you have, why audiences want assurances, they're in safe hands, and how to separate the wheat from the chaff after a gig and just move on. Plus, the time Adam repeated the same crowd work with the same audience members 5 weeks later. Enjoy. Adam, you've performed in every type of comedy room imaginable. What are you looking for when you first arrive at a venue?
That I'm in at the right place, first of all. That's
Good.
always a good one. Make sure you're doing that. On the right date. So real basic stuff, really, Sam. But
Yeah.
when I'm in there, I mean, I've done everywhere from, and up to TV studios of 600 people, probably, or festivals to hundreds, if not thousands. You just want the staff to be competent, I think. Like
Right.
the setup to be nice, all the chairs facing the right way.
Yep.
And that this all sounds basic, but you'd be amazed how many people get it wrong. Because I've
Oh,
run
God.
gigs, and you've run gigs. And when you turn up to a new venue and someone doesn't know, or just like puts out a load of tables facing the wrong way. Like I've actually had that where half the seats were facing the wrong direction.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. Oh, definitely. It probably happens less in your comedy career, I would imagine, in relation to where you are now. But definitely when you're first starting and you just want stage time
yeah,
and you just reply to an ad or something like that and you turn up and within about 10 seconds you just go, oh, for Christ's sake.
turn up. You're in the middle of a harvester buffet or something like that, and
Yeah.
you're interrupting the salad bar.
Because people don't realize that anywhere could be a gig. If you're someone who says, I'd like to put on a comedy show, you have turned into a comedy promoter, whether you know it or not.
Yeah,
And it could be absolutely anything. I can remember doing one gig in Bristol and there was a sort of mezzanine floor. It was basically like this really high ceiling barn, and they realized they could get more punters in if they put in a second floor. So
yeah,
the second floor was tables and chairs, and they wanted the comics to do the gig from the landing in between the first flight of stairs and the second flight of stairs. So you were like Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, looking out over this balcony of people beneath you. And
yeah.
it's like, okay. What are some of the weirdest ones that you've ever turned up to and thought, oh my God?
I mean, that sounds like a vicar doing a sermon or something.
Yeah.
Not to mention a massive fire hazard. I mean, as you say, the more you go on, the more you're actually doing properly run comedy clubs, which are, normally better, but not always. Sometimes, all it takes is someone to be off ill and that person knows where they plug everything in. And then all of a sudden, I've heard of people doing the Edinburgh Festival and like doing the whole show with the mic off and the house lights all on. You know, and they've
Yeah.
paid they've paid £6,000 to be in that venue, and it's incompetence.
Oh, absolutely. For anyone that hasn't been to the Edinburgh Fringe, basically the city stops for a month for the festival. It's the biggest arts festival in the world.
Yeah,
And if you had any type of performance space, to use that phrase very, very loosely, you would want your brains looked at if you didn't have it listed as a venue,
yeah,
because you can charge acts to perform there, you can sell cups of tea and cans of Coke or something, while punters are rolling through your venue every day of the month, well, for about 3 weeks anyway. So you get the most, obviously, nice places that actually could be venues are all venues, but you get these chancers who are like, you could stick a gig on there, and it's like a corridor or a broom cupboard, and it's
or
like,
yeah, a warehouse,
yeah.
an old cinema or something. I've seen a lot up there. It's literally any kind of a broom cupboard I've actually seen used.
Yeah, right.
Genuinely.
Absolutely. So you've been round the block a while now, Ed. How much preparation gives you confidence before a gig?
This is where I should say, no, I prep very hard for every single gig, and work, do it to a T, and make sure I know exactly what I'm going to say before I go on. The other day, I was headlining a show, and I'd run from a podcast recording. Literally, had to park the car illegally near the venue, run up, run through the doors, ran to backstage to where, thank God you're here. Please welcome to stage Adam Greene. So, and it turned up like out of breath, sweating, no change to normal. But yes, so there I just kind of had to go in, work out what was happening in the room right there and then. And it was a bit of a slow start, actually. So I
Yeah,
wouldn't recommend, and I will probably try and not do that again. But
yeah. I avoid doing bloody podcasts. That's the moral of the story, Ed.
I didn't mind,
But
but it was actually with the podcast was with the owner of the venue. So
oh right, well he
I was
can't
at
be
home and
too.
he was in the venue, and anyway, so
Well,
but normally,
he can't be too angry then. But let's just talk about a kind of normal gig
no,
then.
normally, I mean, so as you kind of know, you've got various types of gigs. You've got, you know, new material gigs, which obviously you're doing new material at. So to prepare for that is make sure you know what new material you want to run. I suppose
Yeah,
that's it. And it's very annoying if you've got a new bit and then you forget to try it. So
yeah,
kind of having it clear in your mind what you're going to be trying, roughly what order you want to see if you can link them all together. You probably when you try new stuff, you're not trying to link it necessarily unless it's like a tag to a bit you've already got. But so in that sense, that's what I do there. If I'm doing a normal kind of club 20 on a weekend, then I've got my tried and tested material. So it's just more about just reminding myself how I tend to, what order I'm doing that in normally. And then if you're doing a whole sort of hour solo show, then it again you kind of roughly know what the order is. Just reminding yourself of that and make sure you don't forget anything. Because even if you've done a show 20 times, you can easily just miss out a bit.
do you like to keep it quite loose, like changing round order, how you might say a bit, or as opposed to being more regimented?
Um, I I like to come across like I'm doing it loosely. Um,
Yeah,
it, it's probably more regimented than I'd like actually, but it gives you one less thing to sort of worry about in the moment. Because then I do like to have a play with the crowd and sort of have a chat with them and see if there's anything I can jump off into there. So having the kind of rough order of everything else means I'm also not worried about, oh, what should I do next? I kind of know that this bit follows that, you know.
That's it. These segues are often an easy way to remember a set, aren't they? Comics often remember segues more than they remember material, because that's what links one bit to the next bit. And I know what you mean about crowd work. It's a godsend if someone says something and you've already got something written about that, and you can just go, brrr. You know, the thing I find about that, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone goes, oh my God, did he just think of that?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of the time I actually do, mainly because not because I'm talented enough, but just I forget anything I've ever said.
Yeah,
that's the more likely thing. But
yeah.
do you know what I had on Monday? So a few weeks ago, I was doing a show, and a couple come, and it was two lovely gentlemen, and one of them did all the work, and one stayed at home, and he was a kept man, and we had a big kind of genuinely off the cuff bit about, oh, does anyone want to keep me? Blah blah blah. You know, so I'd love to be a kept man and all of this, and then. That was about a month ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. Then on Monday, I was doing a show, and there was a gay couple there, and one of them did all the work, and one of them was a kept man. And I started trying to do the same material that I'd sort of remembered from the last time, and they kind of looked at me really weird when I did it, when it worked so well 5 weeks previously, when it was off the cuff. And what I hadn't realised was it was the same couple. They'd come to see me again.
You were genuinely on like autopilot.
Yeah, well, almost. I did the kind of going through the Rolodex, and then it did what I should have done was gone, hang on, they did look awfully similar to those two. Actually, now we're thinking.
Oh yeah, but that's tough to remember that, especially the more you do. It's just stuff like moving in front of you. You would have to be like Rain Man to remember bloody audiences, even from one show to another, never mind any more than that. Tell you what I've found funny is when you finish a show and you're quite often kind of sharing quite personal things in a funny way, is how much the audience is drawn to you. They feel like you're their mate. I was doing a festival walking between shows, and this bloke stopped me, and I thought for about the first 30 seconds of the chat that we were actually friends. He's like, Sam, how you doing? How's the dog? How are the kids going? They do you nothing, don't they? And I'm going, yeah, they do. Yeah. Oh, dog. Yeah, he's fine. Yeah. And it was only after about 30 seconds that I realized that he was just a punter a week ago on Wednesday. Right. And I didn't have a clue who he was, but kind of in his head, we were mates, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, well, because he agreed with everything you said, and it's that social relationship you have. You know, doing podcasts or doing live shows, people do want to, you know, if they buy into what you're doing, you are their mate. And you know, which is great, but you don't know who they are, and it's you know, I had someone come up to me in the pub similar. And he went, oh, you don't remember me, do you? I went, no, I don't do. And it went, I've been to your Edinburgh show the last 3 years.
Oh, right.
But it was in my local in London. So obviously, you know, I don't remember everyone who comes to my show. But if you come 3 years in a row, I'm probably going to remember you. And, you know, make a point of telling me. But yeah, it was and then so he's asking me, oh, how's the show for next year going? And going,
Yeah, right.
now it's kind of, now we're in a, well, because he's now seems to be in my local all the time, I think he's just moved to my area. So now I think he's a bit bored of me. Because I go, hello, mate. He was like, oh, hi there. Oh, I've got to go.
Oh, well, better that than him being some super fan where you'd have to find a new local.
Yeah, because I do like my local. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. We won't name check it in case any more of your fans start
yeah,
turning up for a piece of your time. That won't.
yeah.
So, let's think that you've turned up in good time and you're just getting ready to get on stage, right? What would be some of the last things going through your head, like the minute before you go on stage?
Do you want the professional answer or the real answer?
Give me both.
So professional answer, I'm just in the zone, making sure everything's going to be as best as it can be. The real answer is I go, I might have forgotten how to do this, actually. I think I've forgotten how to do comedy.
Yeah, right.
Have I ever been funny? And then I work myself back from, no, you have, yeah. It's fine. People enjoy you. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Go through that kind of, I mean, that's all very quickly. That all happens probably quicker than I can even explain it. Just get your first punchline out and you'll be fine. You'll get them on board. And then that's kind of the focus. And then you're there and then you can be more in the moment, I think. But that is just before I'm going on stage. That is what's going through my, making sure there's kind of no distractions. I've got, a pint or whatever, or some sort of drink. I love having just even a water, just something to bring on stage to almost distract. It's like a prop,
Yeah,
almost.
right. Yeah, yeah. I think you should always, especially anything more, I would say, than a 5 minute set, you should always bring water on. And
Yeah,
also, the whole thing you mentioned there about self doubt.
yeah,
A lot of people don't realize when they first have a go at any form of performance or public speaking is self-doubt is actually normal, isn't it? Like people high up the chain sometimes just look over the edge and think, what the hell am I doing up here?
yeah, yeah. I'm not. Oh, I've heard it never goes away. Obviously, you can be in the moment. You go right, okay. You just you build your little rituals. I think everyone's going to be different, and but ways of dealing with that self doubt. Yeah, as you say, but I'm sure everyone gets it.
Yeah. Oh, they do. I've worked with like TV comics who come off and be like, "Oh, how do you think that went? I wasn't really sure about that joke there. Oh God, God, God." And it's like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah,
They all loved you."
yeah. I mean, I remember a mate of mine was opening, or he was doing an Anne Friend show with a big comic. I won't say who it is, just because it's. If I say either name, it'll be obvious who I'm talking about. But
All right.
my dad went with the mate and to see it because it was, like a work in progress thing. And I'd said it to the mate, oh, my dad would be there, so make sure you look out for him. Bit fun. And so then seeing that mate at the weekend, and I asked my dad, oh, how did he do? And he went, oh, he struggled a bit, actually. He was all right, but, I think he was trying newer stuff than he was prepared to do,
Yeah.
And, so the mate went, oh, what did your dad think? And I went, oh, he said he did well, because I'm not going to tell him the truth.
No.
But that mate went, well, I did awfully, so that's suspicious.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. You know. you know. Have you ever worked with any comics who are like kind of like Walter Mitty level fantasists, and they'll come off to like 10 or 20 minutes of silence, and they're in the green room going, "Oh, that was fantastic. That was. I got to find out who books this night so they can get me back. My God, it's a pity I wasn't filming that." And you're listening to it thinking, are we talking about the same set that I just saw from the side of the
Yeah,
stage? Like
you,
you bloody know if it how it's gone, don't
you.
you?
I mean, you see less and less of that. I think as you get to do better and better clubs, but you are amazed that, like, even when you're doing the top clubs, there's still the odd one of those that will seem to knock around. Maybe they're confidence tricksters or something.
Yeah.
Or, you know, the guy who books the gig owes them a fate. You know, he got a kidney off them, so now he has to book them. Something like that.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, but occasionally you do get those ones. I remember that. I mean, this was a good few years ago now, but I was booked to host a show on a Saturday. It was in a pizza restaurant for a fiver. You might know the one I'm talking about.
Right.
It's renowned for being one of the worst gigs ever. And that before I really knew what was happening was, you know, you got paid at free pizza, 2 drinks, and a £5 per set. That was on a Saturday night. That's what you'd be paid.
Wow.
I hadn't picked the lineup or anything, but the other 3 comics turned up, and I went, "Does anyone have any preference?" And one of the comedians said, "Well, I think I should go on last because I'm clearly the headliner out of everyone." He's been booked. He's been paid a fiver and a pizza for this gig, and we all just kind of went, "Yeah, all right, mate, no worries. Yeah, you go on last then." And all gave each other a look, kind of as behind
Yeah,
his back.
right.
And
Yeah,
then he
right.
proceeded to die on his ass. But he was American, so maybe he just had that. They've all got that confidence that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
they American acts are quite. Yeah, it's like if you're going to be rubbish at something, just don't draw your attention to the fact that you're rubbish at it by.
Yeah.
I can remember I used to drink in a pub once, and there was a pool table and there was a chalkboard, so you do like a winner stays on thing. And I can remember I won a match, and so you got like call the next name out. So you're like, Alan, Alan, where's Alan? Alan, you're up. And this bloke came over with his own pool cue in a case.
Right.
And he's like colour of money, like sticks it on the table, tick, tick, opens it up, starts screwing the 2 ends together. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, he's going to like 7-ball me, this bloke. It's going to be embarrassing. And as it turned out, he couldn't hit a cow's ass with a banjo.
Right.
And it's like, lots of people aren't very good at pool. That's fine. But
Yeah.
don't have your own cue, mate.
No. I mean, it could have been a hygiene thing, maybe.
Mate, well, right. Maybe it was I've never considered that.
If you
Maybe.
just went out, so I'm not very good, but I just think anything you've touched is disgusting.
Yes.
You go, yeah, fair enough.
And looking back, it wasn't the most salubrious of venues. So there's that.
But it's always good, depending on the area of London or even the UK you're in. You know, sometimes it is handy to just carry your own pool cue around just in case.
Yeah. Just in case something happens.
You've weaponized yourself.
Right on.
We're in an industry where you're supposed to kind of hype yourself to the point where even rubbish people are
Yes.
themselves.
Yes.
And you can't get away with just being quietly brilliant anymore, I think, you know.
No.
No one knows who you are. And that's sort of that the way the industry's gone, it's kind of it's a shame we've lost that. So you've got a load of loud shit people. But
Yeah. Exactly that. And a bit earlier on, you mentioned about getting your first punchline out. Just to briefly explain to listeners who might not be familiar, audience's concentration is classically U-shaped. You start off paying attention, you drift off in the middle, and you finish paying attention. That's why comics will often start with their second best joke and finish with their best joke, because those are the two bits that people will classically remember.
Yeah.
When it comes to your openers, do you, I won't ask you to do it, obviously, but do you have like a kind of old faithful, a tried and tested one to kind of get people on side that you stick to?
I do always try and change it up, but like I, I mean, you said the kind of thing of finish on your strongest, open on your second strongest, and I probably don't do that. Maybe that's why I've not been on TV.
Maybe.
You know, I should have just done that and go, oh, right, okay, great. It was just that simple. But like normally I think opening with just something, because, so as I said, for me, I'm looking for that first laugh.
Yeah.
But the audience want that first laugh to know, okay, he's not shit.
Yeah.
Relax.
Completely.
And my bits are normally quite long. I say long in terms of structured jokes. I'm not doing punchline, set punch. You know, I do like set up, punchline, a bit more set up, bit set punchline. You know, more story kind of based stuff, or anecdote maybe more than story. But so I kind of do a couple of shorter things just to get the audience on side. Normally, they relax. They go, all right, this guy's not shit. Now we can listen to him talking for a bit.
Yep.
But still, you try and get a punchline in every 20 to 30 seconds because you want it to be good. You want it to be good. So if you're going to be talking for much longer than that without a punchline there, then that punchline's got to be so good to justify it.
Yes. You know? Yes.
And I don't mean it's always like a big punchline, but you got to have something like at least a half laugh there, or a funny description of something that's happening as you're going along. I think, you know, or half an act out, or something that kind of keeps people reacting. Like you
completely. But would you? So would you try and start with a shorter setup and punchline to get the ball rolling?
Yeah. So you go out there, hit them with a couple of quick bam bam, and then then they relax because they've laughed, and they're already with you, and then.
Yep. And how quickly can you tell if a room is with you?
They're always with me, Sam. As soon as I start talking.
Of course they are.
Well, no, I'd say normally after a minute, you kind of know. Once you go, right, well, that one always hits and it didn't work today. Like, how did that not work? Probably 3 punchlines in, you go, right, I don't know what's happened before I've turned up. Maybe they've all had their cars stolen on the way here or something. You know, that there's clearly information I'm not privy to or haven't taken on as to why it's such a weird room or something like that.
Got it. So then what? What do you do if the alarm bells start going off in your head?
Always panic. Panic as much as possible.
Don't panic. Don't panic.
I think you just start to mix it up. I mean, I've seen people like top headliners go in, watch the whole show and go, right, they like jokes like this, they like jokes like that. And then, they know about football, so I can do my football stuff, or they don't know about football because someone tried a football joke and everyone went, ugh. Or so I've seen people do that, and that's great and all, but I think you don't want to tell yourself too much to any given audience necessarily. You still want it to be you.
Yeah.
But there's certain things you can do on stage. Maybe you go, right, well, I'm going to have to go into the crowd, talk to them a bit more, see if I can drum up, find out what's going on, why they look so fucking miserable. You know,
Yeah, right.
normally I will go for crowd work quicker than, so that's kind of one of my bread and butter things that I'm comfortable doing. Some comics aren't. I think anytime you're doing it out of desperation, when you don't know what you're doing, it looks bad. But so, I've seen people kind of do crowd work and not know how to do it.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely.
And that goes terribly. But,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you have any mechanisms of adapting without the audience noticing you're adapting?
What I'll normally do is I'll go, right, clearly none of this is working. So I'm going to try something else. If you don't like that, I'll leave.
Okay.
I don't normally do. I did that once.
Yeah, I
You
wouldn't.
definitely got their attention.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that as a kind of a go-to anytime it doesn't start working. So you would just kind of shift gears and
I think
start chatting with people.
I normally, yeah. I mean, I think ultimately the comedians talk about crowds being tough, or every room is playable. Nearly every room is playable. I think people are there. They should want to laugh.
Yeah,
Unless you've been booked for a wake or something like that, and actually, you could be misbooked for something, but or very occasionally people are just, it happens to be a crowd full of arseholes who were dragged there against their will and don't want to be there. But most of the time people have got babysitters, they've organised transports wherever they go in, whether it's a cab or, are you driving? Oh, we'll pick them up. Yeah, we'll pick you up on the way. They've organised all of that stuff, or got a tube or the train or whatever they've done to get to a venue to see you talk for 20 minutes. They don't want to not enjoy it.
yeah,
So it does come down to the comic on the stage. So, to try a bit harder. Sometimes it's just,
yeah,
maybe
yeah, yeah.
phoning it in.
No, you're right.
But sometimes you do go on stage and you weren't as up for it as you could have been, maybe, that particular day. And all of a sudden you're 10 minutes into you're 2 minutes in and going, oh, actually, I need to up my gears here slightly.
Yeah, but slightly is the interesting word, because then you get into the subject of like comedy styles, don't you? And you do have, I love your style on stage, because you have a very, very relaxed persona, don't you? It's very, like, I wouldn't describe you as like high energy, put it that way. It's more like, yeah, this is me. I'll tell you a few things that I've seen about the world, as opposed to like, hey everybody, how we doing today? Like that,
Yeah.
that isn't you, is it? Did you fall on that style naturally, or did you try some other ones?
For the first year and a half, I did a Chinese accent, but that
Yeah.
yeah. So that once I was told I wasn't allowed to do that anymore, I just kind of defaulted to, no, I just go on more or less as myself, which I know you're supposed to have a stage persona, but I'm so lazy. I couldn't be bothered coming up with a separate stage persona. So it is more or less me. A lot of how I've arrived at a lot of things in comedy is through lack of effort and laziness. So,
Righto.
yeah. So
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so that comes across as relaxed on stage, but
Okay, yeah. Well, there's different interpretations. I know what you mean about being lazy. I once wrote a prop-based joke, and it was really popular. But then I realised it'd be a real pain in the ass
you
to
have to bring
have
the
too many props.
yeah,
So after that one time, I uh, basically convinced myself that any other prop-based joke that I was going to put in actually wasn't that funny.
yeah, yeah,
Like, nah, don't bother doing that because, like, can you imagine turning up to a venue and being like, "Oh my God, my toilet seat! I don't have my toilet seat." Ah,
yeah. I could not possibly perform without a toilet seat around my neck. So then you get
yeah. Then
screwing
you'd have to
one.
go. Then you'd have to go and unscrew one that's been used by
Yeah,
punters in probably some shithole venue. But
yeah,
who's that guy who I've gigged with him a few times? It was years ago, and he would have like a suitcase, and everything, almost every joke would be a different prop, and I couldn't think of anything worse than having to do that. It'd be like packing to
yeah.
go on holiday every time you were doing a gig.
Oh yeah, it'd be a nightmare. I mean, it's why I'm not in a band anymore. It's why what I loved about stand up was I didn't have to bring any equipment.
Yeah,
Just
right.
the venue.
Yeah. I've played in bands and I've also made a few short films. And you are so reliant on everyone else pulling in the same direction that it becomes like wading through like 3 foot deep treacle to get
Yeah,
anything done.
yeah.
Now, after the band, funny enough, in the process of me and a few of the dads from the school are getting a little band together,
Oh yeah.
and I'm just getting flashbacks of all the hassle. When we're going to rehearse? What songs are we going to play? Where are we going to do gigs? How are we going to get? Whereas when you do comedy, it's just you. And if you want to have a month off, that's fine. You take a
Yeah,
month off. You're not letting anybody down. And if you say, right, sod it, I'm going to get good at this, I'm going to book in as many gigs as I can, then you can do that. And you're not relying on anyone else.
yeah. You
What
miss
band were
the
you in?
camaraderie, though.
Yeah, right. Well, comedy, I always think is a bit like gambling. Like if you succeed in a film or in a play or with a band, then you've got to share the adulation. But also, if you go to a bad gig, you
Yeah,
share the, bad stuff. Whereas comedy, it's like you're all in. You either
yeah,
break the bank or you lose your shirt. Nothing, it's all down to you.
yeah. I mean,
Tell
go on. Sorry,
tell us about your band. What were they called?
they're called Time for Nothing.
Time for nothing.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
we did our biggest gig was at the Clapham Grand
Oh yeah.
in Clapham when I was like 17. So this is 21 years ago now, or something like that. So it's been a while. Um, but yeah, so we did that, and then about a year later broke up.
Who were you? I mean, what instrument?
Who was I? I
You
was me.
you were you were Adam Greene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was rhythm and lead singer.
And were you full of teenaged angst? Did you march onto the stage and say to the audience, "Good evening, everybody. We're time for nothing. Two,
Yeah,
three, four."
pretty much. I mean, I couldn't sing that well. I wrote some real teenage angst kind of songs about breakups.
Yeah.
But we were really good at all the stagecrafty bit. We'd play each other's guitars. When all of that.
Yeah.
So me
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
bassist would play each other's instruments. At the end, we'd all stand in a row and do our guitars at the same, like kind of to the right, to the left, up, and finish all at the same time.
All right.
actually banging. It sounds really cheesy, but it looks fucking class. Yeah, you know, using the drumstick to like play the guitar as well, like, or just
yeah, yeah.
you know, like really, we really practiced how to look like we didn't give a shit.
There you go. There
Yeah,
you go. And what was the time frame between Time for Nothing splitting up and you starting your comedy career?
oh, it was probably about 4 years or something like that. Because we broke up because we went to university. I mean, we were children becoming men, and then so that was, and then the comedy started post uni a while after that, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, what was it from your time performing in a band that you took to your stand up? Like, for example, having a room full of people looking at you, walking onto a stage.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people who would prefer to jump out of a 10th story window than do that. But
yeah. Well,
that presumably would have been something that you would have been comfortable with. Was there anything else that you kind of took over?
well, the crowd work actually, you know, and the bits between the songs, I was pretty funny in.
Okay.
Probably I'll get a call or a text from one of my mates who was in the band and go, no, you fucking weren't.
But you thought you were enough
What I was,
that
yeah.
to have a whirl at the stand up. Oh,
Yeah.
nice one, man. Where was your first gig?
At Angel Comedy.
Oh, that's a
Maybe,
lovely venue.
well, before they had the Bill Murray, before they'd even got the Camden Head. So for people who are listening who don't know, that they run a couple of venues now in North London. One's a purpose-built comedy club and one's a room above a pub. But it was in the room above a pub before
Yeah.
they were running it once a week at the time, and now they run it 7 nights a week and I think 10 shows a week or something like that.
Oh God, that is a brilliant venue. They're always so up for it in there. I can remember doing that and coming off stage feeling like I was on some very strong amphetamine-based drug. Like, oh my God. Oh my God. It's that kind of like rush that you get. But oh God, no, that's a cool place. How did you go? First set. Get any laughs?
Yeah, got laughs. I think you've got to do, like, if you get no laughs in your first 5 minutes, you'd be mad to go back and try it again. I got just enough that I was like, all right, I can do this. Then I did it again and got just enough laughs. Then I did a third gig somewhere in Waterloo. And then the fourth one, I did a thing called the Cavendish Arms.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, yeah. In the one in Stockwell.
Yes,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, yeah.
comedy virgins, and like, so someone wins a trophy every night, and I won a trophy.
Ah,
Fourth gig, so I was like, oh, I'm great at this now. I'll just crack on.
bit of silverware.
Yeah, get that in the docket nice early on. I still
Yeah,
put
right.
award-winning comedian just because of that.
Of course.
But yeah, so that by gig 4, I kind of thought I'd had it cracked. I hadn't. That was nonsense, but I thought I did.
Yeah, sure.
So I
Sure,
think one day
sure.
I finally will get it cracked. But you know,
I'm not sure you ever do. It's the kind of journey and not the destination,
yeah.
isn't it? Here's a question. In all the years you've been at it, Adam, what is it about gigs that experienced comics notice that newer comedians miss?
Uh, I wish I had an answer for you there. Maybe I'd be one of the more experienced ones if I knew. But I genuinely don't know.
It's it's fine because you see, part of this is getting out things from performers that they would subconsciously do. There would be things in all of the hundreds and hundreds of gigs that you've done that, what, it's a bit like observational comedy in a way, isn't it? Observational comedy works because it's things that you've subconsciously spotted.
noticed, yeah. But I'm
But it's only when you hear someone say it that makes you go, "Oh my God, that's
yeah,
true. I hadn't thought of it like that before." And you're kind of laughing at the kind of craziness of having observed something that has still surprised you, if you see what I mean.
yeah. Well, so that's my problem there, Sam, is I'm so oblivious to everything. Like, you could be having a fight with someone stood next to me, like having like not a physical fight, I would notice that, but a sort of disagreement of verbals, and I'd just be stood staring like mid-distance, going, not knowing what's happening, just not taking that in at all.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah, yeah.
a lot of what an experienced actor is going to do when they go on, they're going to have seen what, if there's any crowd stuff that's happened, is there anyone who's difficult, do I need to put them down early,
Yeah.
keeps heckling. I mean, people, I'm going to go off on an angle here, people
Go on.
always ask, people seem to always ask, oh, what's it like when you get heckled doing stand-up? It happens so rarely nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, I probably get once a year, I might get something shouted at me. You know,
Yeah.
maybe twice, but it is so rare, and maybe it's just because people have seen the heckler put down videos online and gone, actually, you know what, that's not for me, actually, and we've conditioned them out of it. But I suppose experienced comics would have traditionally looked at more like, okay, this guy's going to be difficult, put him down quick, or these people are lovely, I can get more out of that.
Yeah.
I've seen the place this can go that other people can't, or haven't yet. And as I said earlier, probably looking at, okay, this material works, this material hasn't worked, and tailoring a bit more to that effect. I think that's the sort of thing an experienced comic might notice more than a newbie.
Yeah, yeah. You're right about heckling. It is one of the most commonly asked questions when people hear that you do comedy. The quick answer is, if you're being funny, then no one's really got time to heckle. So because they're just laughing. And the other thing I've realized is you've got to distinguish between a negative heckle and a positive heckle, because sometimes it's people wanting to get involved in what you're saying. It might be a couple and the woman's like, he does that, and they are, I mean, that is technically a heckle because you're being interrupted, but it's a heckle from someone who wants to get involved in the show to basically say, we're enjoying this, it's good.
Yeah, but it can be just as off-putting.
Yes, it can. Yes, it can.
When people are talking, I've had this before, which, you know, when because people talk and down the front, and that is quite annoying. But the most annoying thing is it's only you, because they're facing you on stage. You're the one who can hear it more than anyone else normally. So you go, sorry, what's happening here? No one else in the room is distracted. It's only you. So on stage, you sound insane if you're even addressing it. But sometimes you got to, if it is really off-putting.
Yeah, you do.
And I remember one time saying to someone down the front, sorry, what are you talking about there? Eh? Why are you interrupted to talk? Yeah. And they went, oh, sorry, I was just saying how much we enjoyed that last joke. And then they kind of sat there a bit forlornly for the rest of the set. And like,
yeah. Well, I know. But blinking, have that conversation afterwards. There's an interval coming up. Do it then.
Yeah. But you still rather than have it than not, I suppose. But,
well, yeah, you would. Yeah, you would. And I mean, I due to like other things in my life, I would now mainly host shows just because I don't really have the time to travel around the country and stuff like that. And so sometimes it's just people that don't know how they're supposed to act within a show. And I might forget to say, I don't know, turn your phone off or don't film it.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a bit like when you get on an aeroplane and there's a sign that says no smoking. A little part of me thinks there will come a time when they will get rid of those signs on new planes. And would someone actually light up a cigarette and be like, what? There's no signs. It's like,
bit that always gets me with them is there's still lights. Make it a sticker now. Think of all the money you're going to save.
yeah, right. Yeah,
Rolling out
yeah.
stickers instead of having that light above your head lit for the entirety of the flight said no smoking.
The electricity that must cost. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And it's a bit like when you're hosting a show, there has to come a time when you're assuming a degree of civility from the people in the room. Like, I've not told you not to take out a banjo and start playing it. I'm just going to assume that no one in the room is going to do that because that would be all you'd do. But there are times when I'll say things, when I'll forget to say, put your phones on silent or put your phone away. I now normally talk about it for a bit because it winds me up when anyone does anything on their phones. And going back to what you just said about someone doing something that only affects the performer and no one else in the room. You got 100 people facing you in the dark and one person checks something on their phone. Their face is illuminated through the darkness. It's all you can see, and that is so distracting. And I think it's always a judgment call that you're making, but I'm personally in favor of the act actually saying, pack that up. Maybe if you're 3/4 of the way through a bit that you know is going to get a big laugh, you'd wait until you finish that bit. But you got to be in control of the room. If you start competing with different things, then I don't think that works.
No. Well, I remember years ago I was doing my own show up in Edinburgh. And it hadn't sold particularly well that day or something, and there was maybe 12 people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
It's very different when you're hosting a show because you're bringing on other comics. But when you're doing your own show, it's just you for an hour or 45 minutes or whatever length you're doing. And someone you said filming, and it reminded me, someone started filming me. And they're smiling away, like filming it. And I didn't want to just go, what are you doing? Stop filming me.
Yes.
Not enough people in this room there to have enough kind of. Basically, I couldn't afford any walkouts. Bare minimum of the show working as was. So trying to be nice about it was like, you don't want to be filming me for a whole hour. Your arm will get tired. And they're like, no, it's fine. What are you going to do? With 40 odd minutes of footage of just me in a room. They went, I'll put it on my Facebook for all my friends in Malta. So, they were from Malta, barely spoke English. So obviously I didn't do the accent.
No, right.
Not allowed anymore. But they were going to put it on for their non-English speaking friends to watch on a 40-minute Facebook video. Was what their plan for that was. So I don't know if.
Oh my God!
Now, but as a result.
Oh my God! I always think that it's just like if you see people that take continual pictures anyway, I also think to myself like, who are you gonna show this to? Who is going to want to watch through all of these hundreds of thousands of pictures that you've got now? No, who's going to do that?
But we do, don't we?
Oh, Jesus. But but the rudeness involved of just thinking, oh, I'm just going to film this. Yeah, I don't mind every now and then, you know, slightly digging people out. Like, what the hell do you think you're doing? And actually making them feel a little bit stupid, because they are being stupid.
Yeah, but again, that particularly, I think, if you're not sure of yourself on stage, or you just you haven't, because the first sort of 10 minutes of a show, you're trying to get them on side.
No, of course
Everyone
you
in the
are.
room's
Of course you
unsure
are.
if you're any good or not, even if they've seen you before.
Of course they are, mate.
You know, you're still trying to get them on. So to turn around to someone who's still done something early on, it can really affect the room. Like, you know.
No, it can affect the room. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like, I found that if you want to go down the whole kind of gender bias point of view, groups of women are 100 times harder than groups of men. Like one bloke might say, "You're shit," and you, like, you know, make some joke about the sexual practices of his mother or something, and all his mates go, "Ah," and they all
Yeah,
shut up and they're on board.
yeah,
You get groups of women, in my experience of probably doing 1,000 or so shows, who just want to talk amongst themselves.
yeah. And if you
And
say anything,
you can't let that carry on. So you start politely, and then you know, and you might lose a room going like, "Oh, what tough guy are you? What else do you do? Beat them up?" And it's like,
yeah,
no, she was just talking. I only wanted to try and do this, and
yeah.
it's just a
Well,
disaster.
and they'll all back each. You know, if you said
Yeah, oh, yeah.
something about their mothers, they'd
Oh,
all they're all, you know, sisters doing it for themselves. Um, they're, they're gonna they're gonna back each other, not like men who are fickle fucks, really,
I
in
think
comparison.
yes, yes. I think.
Immediately side against Gary, going, "You use a bell end, actually." Yeah, you're right.
Oh, blokes are murder like that. I've sometimes turned up to a venue to do a gig, and you're in the toilet having a wee, and one of the punters would be like, "Oi, mate, you one of the comedians on tonight?" And I go, "Yeah, I am actually." You got to take the piss out of our mate Terry. Terry's a complete bellend. You got to just dig him out, mate. Just dig him out. Dig him out. I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'll normally go on stage and just be like, "Where's Terry?" And someone puts their hand up, and all his mates go, "Ah!" And I go, "Terry, your mates are all bellends." So anyway, but blokes just love it, don't they?
Yeah, it's there's something about, yeah, blokes in a group that really just, the brain cells seem to go out the window.
Oh God, they really do. I would say though, going back to audience etiquette, and there will be some comedy punters listening to this show. I think the takeaway from this little bit for everyone listening who might ever be in a comedy club for the rest of their lives is to just bear in mind that it's bloody difficult doing that. And don't do anything that would make it any harder, because it's hard enough. Even if everyone's on side, it's still
Yeah,
bloody hard. Don't do anything with your phone, with your mates, with shouting out, don't do anything to make it any harder.
yeah. Or unless you want to see a worse show, then yeah, fuck it up.
Well, when I host, one of the things I'll say to a room is don't bother heckling. You want to heckle anybody, heckle me. I don't care. But you heckling these acts will actually put them off. You will get something funnier just listening to them and getting involved when they ask you a question. If you want to shout something out because you've got just enough bottle to do that, but not enough bottle to ever actually get on a stage and do a set, that will be worse, because they'll have to stop and say, "Who said that? and they would just have to politely shut you up. Some people have got this weird idea that they're kind of helping a show by heckling. And it's like, no, you're not. You're actually just making it less funny for everyone else around you.
Yeah, and it's I thought I was helping. There's the other kind of heckle as well when someone shouts something along the lines, particularly when you're on stage, it sounds something along the lines of,
Yeah,
you know,
right.
that heckle.
Yeah,
And
oh yeah.
sorry, mate, what was that? Who said that? And then they go all quiet, and you go, "Well, you
Yeah.
fucking interrupted now. What was it you were shouting?"
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That is so
and
true.
and
That's
then they
so
kind
true.
of think about it, and they go, I was just shouting. I was just shouting minge, actually. Oh, why were you shouting minge? I don't know now.
Yeah.
Okay, mate. Thank you.
Can I carry on now? Can I
Sure.
carry on now? But yeah, definitely I've noticed as an MC, you've got to kind of like jump on a grenade. I was once doing a gig in a new venue, and it was this restaurant that wanted to do comedy. And it's actually a nice restaurant in London. And in between one of the sections of the show, a guy in the front row thought it would be acceptable for him to take out his laptop and
Right.
start reading emails. Again, another fucking planet. Why would you think that? And I just said, because like your role as an MC is to lay the foundation for the act to come on with as best chance as possible as doing well.
Yeah.
And I just said to the bloke, what's going on with the laptop? And he looked at me like, what? I said, I think it's a pretty straightforward question. What are you doing with the laptop? And he goes, well, I'm just checking a few emails. And I said, well, not fucking here, you're not. And he looked at me. It was like I was the twat in the conversation. He looks at me like, what?
Yeah.
Like, look, mate, I tell you what, right? One of two things is going to happen. You are either going to put that laptop away and listen like everyone else in this room, or you and your laptop will go somewhere else in this venue to check your emails. But I can tell you one thing that is not going to happen. I'm not going to bring on this next act with that laptop open. And it turned into a bit of a kind of a Mexican standoff until we both agreed that I was right and he was wrong.
Yeah.
But stuff like that is just don't rarely assume the audiences are on the same wavelength as you, because quite often you end up like going, what the hell did you do that for?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you were interrupting him checking his emails.
Yes.
He was
Yes.
interrupting the show. That it's that I'll never be amazed. I'll never stop being amazed by what audiences might sometimes do.
Oh, yeah. And that's when, it's not always nice, but I think as a host of the show, you're the one that's got to jump on the grenade for everybody else. You can't let someone think that that's okay because, I don't know, anarchy reigns, doesn't it? And it's like, no, 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 no. The rules make the fun. We've all got to be pulling in the same direction here, or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Tell me, when something unexpected happens when you're on stage, how do you stop yourself panicking? What are the processes? Say it's something that the MC couldn't sort and you're on stage. What do you do?
So I was one time doing a gig. I was hosting the show. So maybe this doesn't quite answer the question.
No.
Someone that had what looked like a heart attack in the audience. They were kind of slumped over,
Oh dear.
like passed out, and all their family going like, "Mum, mum."
Oh my God.
And luckily, it was kind of the end of the show. So just went, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of the show. If you could all now please make your way out. Like, just tried to calmly finish the show as quickly as possible. Then one of the other acts had seen what had happened and went, Jesus, she's had a heart attack. And went to help because they'd actually previously had a heart problem. So they knew what to do, which was good. But I'm not sure the training includes shouting, Jesus, she's having a heart attack, shut it down, which is what I was doing, was as helpful as
Oh,
it would have been. But,
oh Christ. Yeah, oh that's
so
pretty full on.
so
Was she having a heart attack?
So the happy story was she was fine. She was just a bit dehydrated and passed out because she'd been drinking all day. I think it was like in the 70s. And, it was like she was on a day trip to London and, walked around too much, had too much to drink, but not enough water. And that was it. And that was fine. So it all was a happy ending to that story.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
And what do you look for, apart from the obvious, when you're assessing a gig after you're finished?
Do you know what? Did it go well? Did everyone I bump into tell me it went well? Do I think was I happy ultimately with getting enough laughs regularly? Was the whole room on board? And it's all it's a bit vague, that answer, but I suppose it is, if it's gone terribly, just forget about it. Like, what can we learn? Not just forget about it. What can you learn? Like, was it the material? Was it this? Was it that? But after a while, it doesn't tend to go badly. You have less good gigs and more good gigs, or better. I think is saying that. But so you don't end up having those sort of train wreck nights. I think just getting stuff from that kind of getting a 6 out of 10. How could I have made that an 8 out of 10? Maybe I've done that, and that. If I had got an 8 out of 10, could I have made that a 10 out of 10 by doing that, this, and this? But other than that, not dwelling on it too much. Like, by the next day, just get it out of your head. And even doing a big bombastic, great gig. Some of the best gigs I've had, I've then actually gone and closed a terrible new material night afterwards, and it's really helped level me.
Yeah, right.
Ideas above my station. So
that's it. It's not easy, but you've tried not to get too high with the highs or low with the lows. The real sort of pros just operate around the middle, don't they?
Yeah, like you're on kind of antidepressants, basically.
There you are.
No highs, no lows, everything's mid.
Yeah. Do you record many shows?
I do now more. Do you know what? A lot of them will fall into that same category of filming them and then never watching them. So, like that woman putting my show on the Facebook.
Right.
I do film them and record them and go back over them, but I hate watching or listening to myself. So it's a big problem.
And you'd be looking for what? Like how new bits worked, or if there was any ad libs in there that you could stick into an act?
Yeah, or that bit was really good. I should put that out on Instagram, and then after 6 months never doing that. That kind of thing. Yeah.
I know exactly what you mean with that, and it's so true about the gigs. I find the more I do that, most gigs now just get kind of clumped in the middle as a gig that you've done,
Yeah,
and you only remember the absolute stormers or the absolute train crashes for whatever reason, and the rest just kind of exist in this big blob in the middle. Would you say that's about right?
yeah. I mean, even the stormers go out of your head after a while. But I think there's an interesting thing that when you first start doing comedy, like there's loads of venues you go, oh, I hope I get to play there one day, or I hope I get to do this thing or whatever. And by the time you end up doing them, you're kind of beyond them. Like it's
Yeah, right.
maybe the first time you do it, it's oh, I finally cracked this, and then you do it, and it goes, good to great, and then you're invited back, and by the time you're back there a third time, you're like, yeah, this
Yeah.
is actually I do better gigs elsewhere. This is kind of
Yeah. I know
it,
what you mean.
the magic of it very not quickly, but the magic of a kind of salubrious venue can go away as soon as you get backstage and realize, it's all held together by gaffer tape and,
Oh yeah.
you know, I
Yeah, I
went,
know.
went backstage at the Apollo a couple of months back. Wasn't on stage at the Apollo, but I was backstage at the Apollo.
All
And
right.
a lot of the big venues, because I grew up going to the Apollo, thinking, I've seen so many, but it's just bare white brick backstage,
Absolutely, man. That's
tables.
a that's a show business. No,
Yeah.
definitely, man. Definitely.
The backstage bar at the Apollo, though, is lovely.
Oh, all
I'd love
right.
to get an invite to, mate.
Well, you're getting closer to the stage by the sounds of things.
Yeah, slowly.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Could you remember any advice about comedy that different acts have given you over the years that have stuck with you?
Um, I remember one time I was about a year in, and Sean Walsh told me the first time we did 20 minutes, because for your listeners who might not know, normally sets would be like 5 minutes when you're first starting out, then 10 minutes, then you get up to 20. And basically, if you can do 20, you could play in every club in the country if you've got a good 20.
Mm-hmm.
He went, the first time I was doing 20, I just did my 10, but at half the speed. And I thought, great, well, I could do that then. That's nice and easy. But I said, well, I've already got 7 then, in that case.
There's a good kind of camaraderie amongst comics, isn't there? I've noticed. I mean, whatever people's kind of, act style or message they want to put across and stuff like that, there's a sort of unwritten code of conduct amongst comics,
Yeah.
which is good. It's a kind of community of people that realize that it's hard work.
Yeah, I think there is a kind of appreciation across the board normally, until you get to the very top, and then everyone's very bitchy and cutthroat. But luckily, I'm not there yet. So that's, when your tours are competing with one another, people get a bit catty.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I suppose when you get up to the real high branches of the tree,
Yeah.
that is sometimes the case. I would say.
You're not gigging with each other anymore when you're up at that level.
Yeah, right.
You're on tour with yourself. You're with your own thoughts a bit too many hours of the day, and
Yeah. Just killing time in your Novotel hotel in Swindon.
yeah, just looking at how your rivals' sales in Swansea are going, and are they better than yours? That sort of.
Yeah. No, people can get a little bit like that. Whereas you would hope that, you'd think to yourself, wow, I'm at a lovely theatre tonight. Everyone there's paid money to see me. I'm earning a few quid. I could be doing data entry in an office with my life,
Yeah.
but instead I'm doing this. But people don't tend to think in those terms, do they?
No, no. Well, that one mate who's got a tour coming up, or has just been on tour, or there's a tour involved. He was. I went, oh, that seems to be selling well, and he went, yeah, but so and so is doing better. And then, like the next sentence, he went, apparently, people who were abused as children, they obsess over the numbers of things like this. I said, well, at least you saved a load of money on therapy, and you know exactly why you do that. So
Yeah, what is it they say? Comparison is the thief of joy, isn't it, eh? There's
yeah,
always there's always someone, you know, who's doing better or worse than you. And you don't even know what's going on in that person's head, though, do you? Eh? You don't know for a fact that they're happier than you. Everyone's got their shit when they turn the light out that they
yeah,
stress about before they go to sleep, don't they? Wherever you are, whatever you're doing in
it
life. So,
it never stops. So it never stops. It doesn't matter whether you're doing your. I mean, this goes beyond comedy, as you say. Whatever walk of life you are, but if you're driven, you just want the next thing. You know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I've seen a few shrinks over the years about like mental health things, not being as happy as I should. And one of the things I tell you that really helped me is to keep like a kind of gratitude journal. Like, what am I grateful about today? And they're often small things. I love that Jim Carrey quote. I wish everyone could get rich and famous and have everything they want, because then they'd realize that's not the answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's deep, but there's some truth in that. Just think about, I don't know, taking your dog for a nice walk and you throw a frisbee and the dog brought it back for you. If that gives you joy, then that's a good day, and it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what
But
car someone else is driving, but we're not wired up for that, especially not in Western societies, are
no.
we?
It'd be nice to take your dog for a walk, throw a frisbee, and then bring them back. But it'd be even nicer to bring your Hollywood celebrity dog for a walk in a park that normal people aren't allowed in, and throw a sort of electric frisbee that Elon Musk has just invited.
Well, that's exactly it. That's always where the comparison comes in, all the kind of consumerism and keeping up with the Joneses and all of that sort of stuff. But I don't know. You speak to some Buddhists and they're just like, yeah, fuck all of that stuff. Did you enjoy when your dog brought that frisbee back? And, that's more of a sort of bandwidth that they're in.
Yeah,
Adam, Adam, I can't thank you enough for this chat, mate. It's been really enjoyable.
it's been great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Not at all. Adam, and tell me, I kind of got a feeling I know what the answer to this is going to be, but I'll ask it anyway. Is there like a website or something like that of your like shows coming up? Are
Yeah,
you updating where and how?
absolutely. People go to my Instagram. It's always updated there as to where and how to see me.
Perfect. And what is the handle?
Adam.Greene.9.
Adam.Greene.9, and Greene has an E on the end of it,
It
doesn't it?
does, yeah.
Which
And
might,
I mean, the biggest thing I'm working on at the minute, so I'm doing a few previews for around the country, which I will be promoting on Instagram. But I'm doing the Edinburgh Fringe Festival with a show called Adam Greene, The Wisdom of Ozempic. And so I'll be doing that every day there. So
fantastic. Well, if anyone's making their way up to Edinburgh and they've got, what's the time and venue? Do you have that sorted yet?
yeah, it's 7:10 at the Hive.
Oh, great time. Great
Yeah,
time.
great
Don't,
time, great venue.
and Adam, we've established you aren't going to spend your whole month up there comparing your time and venue or your ticket sales with anyone else's for the whole month that you're there.
Sure. Yeah, let's pretend that's what's happening. The truth is, my girlfriend's going to be doing her debut, so I'll definitely be comparing myself to her. And
oh my God, can you imagine the rows?
Well, she's going to win, I know. So
yeah.
So,
you're going to be like, oh yeah, tough day, eh? You know, only had 20 in, and they were all grumpy. And she's like, well, I sold out and made 300 quid in the bucket. You'd be like, what?
Well, she's doing so well, she doesn't even have a bucket. That's
holy shamoli. Yeah. Oh my God. Well,
that's proper. Yeah. I'll let you explain what the bucket is another time. But
yes, indeed. We will cover that a different time, Ad, but best of luck with the Edinburgh run. I'm actually planning on diving up for a few days, so it will be lovely to keep your ears on, and hopefully it'll be a time when you can dive out for a pint, maybe after your show.
Yeah, or before. Fuck it.
Or before. Yeah. And another bloody thing. My girlfriend is making her debut. Super stuff, man. Best of luck with it all, and be lucky,
Thank you. Yeah, lovely to talk to you. Hopefully catch you soon anyway.
I'd like that. Cheers, pal.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. All right.
There he is, Mr. Adam Greene. He's a pretty laid-back fella, isn't he, eh? You might be thinking that we recorded that at 5 o'clock in the morning or something, but I can assure you Adam is exactly the same when he's on stage. I think there was loads in there to take away, but here are 3 from me. Number 1, the audience wants you to succeed. Amateur speakers sometimes have this idea lodged in their heads that audiences want them to fail, which is just nonsense. Most of the time, they're just grateful it's not them up the front speaking. Secondly, self-doubt is normal. Sometimes when you first start speaking, your primal brain overrides your conscious brain with all this negativity and doubt, and you convince yourself that you can't do something. You can overcome doubt with practice and analysis. And lastly, get an early win when you're speaking. Adam spoke about getting a laugh in the first 30 seconds. That might not be appropriate in business communication, but think about establishing credibility. Good opener, killer stat, whatever it is, you're basically letting the audience know they're in safe hands. Thanks for listening to Before, During, After, a Smirk Experience podcast about performance from the inside. If you've enjoyed it, why not share it with someone else who you think might get it? And give us a follow while you're at it. See you next time.